Hello, hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hi, it's Linda Jordan with LRJ Coaching and Business Solutions. Happy Wednesday. This is the first Wednesday of March, March the 3rd. So, hopefully, everyone is having a fantastic day and enjoying some of this great sunshine. I know here in North Carolina we have lots of sunshine. So, hopefully, all of you are having a great, fantastic day. So, for those who do not know me, I am Linda Jordan with LRJ Coaching and Business Solutions, and I help leaders and organizations identify and close gaps that are sometimes unexpected gaps in the workplace. And I do that through a process of leadership training, leadership assessments. I have a really fun game called the Leadership Game. There are communication assessments, but my goal is to help leaders increase productivity while increasing employee engagement in an inclusive workplace. And so today, what I want to talk with you about, it's around the power of listening. The power of listening. So if you're just joining, please put in the comments, hello. I'd love to know who is listening with me today. So just put in the comments, hello. Thank you all for joining. Happy Wednesday. Yes, happy Wednesday. So just trying to get my board up here pretty good. So I want to talk about the importance of listening. So there are three aspects around listening, or three ways that you can get my thoughts together. When you're listening to someone, three things happen. Number one, you gain respect for someone and each other. Number two, you build good relationships. And then three, you increase your knowledge. So, what do I mean by that? Gaining respect is that you are paying attention to someone and showing that there's value. So, thank you for those that are listening. You are showing me respect today by listening to what I have to say. And that's what that means, taking the time to listen to someone, and that shows respect. So, thank you for listening. Building relationships is the second. You build relationships when you get introduced to someone. And when you introduce yourself, most likely you are doing more listening than talking. And so as you connect with others, you network, then you are building relationships. And we're all doing that nowadays, particularly with everything being remotely, and we're all using Zoom or other platforms to connect with others. So we are building these relationships by communicating with each other this way. So I'll just put in the chat to see if there are any questions so far. So the third one is increasing knowledge. And that one of the things I've learned is that if we listen more than talk, we will learn a lot. So we have our listening ears on, and we're soaking in all this great knowledge or all this great information. So the more we listen, the more knowledge that we gain. Think about it this way: as we are watching TV or listening to the news or listening to the radio or reading a book, we are soaking in all this great knowledge and building up our knowledge base because we're attaining all of that information. And so those are three areas that are very important when it comes to listening. So you are gaining respect and showing respect for others. You're building great relationships with others. And then most importantly, you are increasing your knowledge base. So for me, I am still in school. I'm working on my dissertation, but I'm doing a lot of research and reading. And so I'm increasing my knowledge base. If you are someone who is looking to start a business, you are learning about what it takes to start a business. So you're increasing your knowledge base so that you have the skill set and the tools that you need to start your business. If you're someone that works a 9 to 5, you're probably always going to meetings and connecting with others or learning a new software or learning a new process. So you are increasing your knowledge base by soaking in all that information. And in a lot of those cases, we're doing a lot of listening at those times. Now, Although we are doing a lot of great listening, there are things such as barriers that prevent us from listening. Yes, there are barriers that prevent us from listening. The first barrier is that sometimes we as individuals may find ourselves doing more talking than listening. And so when we do more talking than listening, we have created a barrier so that our listening skills are not all the way on because we're doing more talking than listening. So we have to learn to sometimes take a few moments, I always say a nanosecond, and breathe and do more listening and do less talking because we don't want that to be a barrier. The second one is there could be something that's going on in your life, and we call that personal baggage, that is preventing you from listening. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be anything bad. It could be that, maybe that you have your cell phone there, and personally, you are so used to checking your messages for email or seeing what's on Facebook. And so checking that could be a barrier. So it's preventing you from listening appropriately. It could be that maybe you are at work and let's say you're in the office and not remotely, but you're in the office, and maybe there's someone that sits next to you who maybe talks a little bit louder than you do, and you are on a conference call or you are doing something that requires you to pay attention to what's going on. So that distraction next door to you could be a barrier to you listening because that's taking away your time and attention because there's a distraction going on. So again, barriers can prevent us from listening appropriately. And the two barriers that I just mentioned, there are a lot more, but I just mentioned two. And the first one is, we sometimes may talk a little bit more than we need to. I'm one of those persons that are guilty. I love the talk. So I have learned that I need to listen more, talk less. And then secondly, we could have some personal baggage that we're carrying around with us, or, whatever it is that's distracting us from listening appropriately. Now, we can develop our listening skills very easily. So, according to Brian Adams, and he was the author of Sales Cybernetics. Hadn't heard of that book before, but doing my research, Sales Cybernetics. According to Brian, he says that 9% of the day, most people are writing. This is where you spend your time during the day, and this is why we're not listening as much. But this is what what study or research shows: 9% of the day we are writing, 16% of the day we are reading something, and that could be on the phone, I guess, internet, books, or whatever. We're reading something. 30% of the day we are speaking, as I'm doing today. So this is my 30% of speaking. And then 45% of the day listening. 45% of the day listening. So I thought that was very, very powerful. So there are three things or three ways that you can improve or increase your listening skills. Now, there are a couple of more, but I just want to share three with you today. The first one is when you are listening, focus on listening for understanding. Now, there are a lot of times where there's so much going on and we're trying to multitask. And I have learned that there's no such thing as multitask, but we try anyway. So listening for understanding, and not just listening to be listening, taking notes, paying attention to what is being said, making sure that you are understanding what is being said to you, whether it's virtually or face to face. But listening for understanding. Oftentimes we just listen for the sake of listening because our mind is over here thinking about something else that we've got to do, whether it's, getting ready for preparing dinner for the night, or we've got another meeting to go to, or we have a class to go to, or if you're a parent and you have to take kids to an activity. So you may be listening to whatever's going on, but your mind is someplace else because you've got other things going on. But we need to take the time to stop and listen for understanding. The second is when we are listening, please don't interrupt the person when you're listening. What happens is that we are no longer listening because we've gone back to one of those barriers, which is talking. So try not to interrupt the person that's talking. Don't let yourself become interrupted in doing something else, such as the cell phone ringing, or you've got a ping on your social media and you quickly turn away to see, what's happening on social media. Or if you're working from home remotely, sometimes the house phone will ring if you have one, or if your spouse is in the home or children, and they may come out and ask you a question. So you may get distracted that way. So if we take the time to not allow ourselves to be interrupted, it will improve our listening skills. And third, the way to increase your listening skills is to suspend judgment. Oftentimes, or sometimes, when we are listening, we may be thinking about what's going on as opposed to what the message is, or listening for understanding. We've already started to think about, oh, well, maybe this is something else, or I wonder why so and so said that. So don't prejudge what is being said. Just listen for the information, listen to make sure you understand it, take good notes, and then ask questions at the end. We all have busy lives, and we get, so much going on, and we get distracted, and we've got a million things to do. And then you want to make sure that, you're paying good attention. So we could be prejudging information or what's being said before we really have a true understanding. I am just as guilty as probably anyone else, but there was a previous situation where I was listening to someone, and they prejudged something that I was about to say before I finished it. And so we had a discussion about that. And I said, well, you probably thought I was going to go down that path of what I was saying, but I actually didn't go that route. So sometimes our minds are going faster than our mouths are. So we need to take a step back. I says, pause and reset before we make judgment on what someone is saying. So thanks for joining, whoever just popped in. I'm talking about the importance of listening skills. And so if you missed what portions that you did miss, I talked about there are 3 levels of when you're listening. You want to make sure that you're showing respect, that you're building relationships, and that you are increasing your knowledge. So 3 things, powerful things that happens when we listen attentively. I also talked about 2 barriers to our listening skills, and that's sometimes talking a little bit too much, more than we need to, and then being preoccupied with ourselves. That's another distraction, bringing that personal baggage to that conversation. So those are 2 barriers. And then I shared 3 ways that you can improve your listening skills. And that's number 1, focus on understanding. Number 2, don't interrupt. And thirdly, and I find very importantly, is to suspend judgment on what is being said. So hopefully that information on the value of listening has been very helpful to you. Just to share one thing that I have coming up, there is a Coaching for Leaders program that I'm actually going to start that in April. So it is already March. So April, I will have that program starting up, and I will post that in the comments once I get the date confirmed. So thank you so much for joining. And if you're looking for clarity on being a leader, clarity on, identifying gaps in your organization, if you have any gaps as a leader and you're looking for some clarity and you just want to talk for a few moments, please connect with me at lindajordan.com. I will also place my link in the comments for a free 30-minute consultation. It's called Freedom of Choice. And so I look forward to hearing from those that are listening. If you're listening today, just put in the comments what you learned from the session today will be helpful. And then if you're watching this on replay, do hashtag replay. People often watch this later, and I really appreciate that. And so I want to make sure that I respond to all of your questions that you may have. And as I said before, if you're watching this on replay, do #replay. So I look forward to sharing more information with you all next week on the advantages of listening. So again, go to my site at www.lindajordan.com and schedule a free 30-minute freedom of choice strategy session. And so with that, have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all next week on the Linda Jordan Show. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.